Hello, young man. I'm here to talk to you about something that I believe is very important, but often overlooked. It's about the struggle against perfectionism and the fear of making mistakes. You see, I've been in your shoes before, feeling like I need to be perfect, like I need to save the world from every possible danger, and that any mistake I make could be catastrophic. But let me tell you, it's a heavy burden to carry, and it's one that I've learned to overcome. As a vigilante, I've had to deal with my fair share of failures and setbacks. There have been times when I've let my fear of not being perfect hold me back from taking action, from trying new things, from being the hero that I know I can be. But it's in those moments of doubt and uncertainty that I've learned to find my greatest strength. You see, it's not about being perfect. It's about being brave enough to take risks, to try new things, and to learn from our mistakes. When I was a young boy, my parents were murdered in front of me. It was a traumatic experience that could have broken me, but instead, it fueled my desire to make a difference. I became obsessed with the idea of being perfect, of being the best, of saving everyone. But as I grew older, I realized that this obsession was not only unrealistic, but it was also suffocating me. I was so focused on being perfect that I was afraid to take risks, to try new things, to be human. But then something changed. I realized that being human is not about being perfect. It's about being vulnerable. It's about being open to learning, to growth, and to change. I started to focus on my strengths rather than my weaknesses. I started to celebrate my successes rather than dwelling on my failures. And I started to understand that it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay to not be perfect. You see, perfectionism is a myth, a lie that we tell ourselves. It's a way of avoiding the uncertainty and the vulnerability that comes with being human. But it's also a way of avoiding the joy, the excitement, and the fulfillment that comes with living a life that's true to who we are. So, I want to encourage you to let go of the need to be perfect. I want to encourage you to take risks, to try new things, and to be open to learning and growth. Now, I know that this is easier said than done. I know that it's hard to let go of the fear of making mistakes, to let go of the need to be perfect, but I also know that it's worth it. I know that when we let go of our fear of not being perfect, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities, to a world of joy, excitement, and fulfillment. So how can you start to overcome your own perfectionism and fear of making mistakes? Well, first, you need to recognize that it's okay to not be perfect. You need to understand that everyone makes mistakes, and that it's a natural part of the learning process. Second, you need to focus on your strengths rather than your weaknesses. You need to celebrate your successes rather than dwelling on your failures. And third, you need to be kind to yourself, to be gentle with yourself, and to remember that you're doing the best you can. It's also important to remember that you're not alone in this struggle. We all struggle with perfectionism and the fear of making mistakes at some point in our lives. Even I, as a vigilante, struggle with it from time to time. But it's how we respond to those struggles that defines us. It's how we choose to see our mistakes, our failures, and our imperfections that determines whether we'll let them hold us back or propel us forward. Now, I want to share with you a story about a time when I had to overcome my own perfectionism and fear of making mistakes. It was during a mission to stop the Joker from blowing up a stadium filled with innocent people. I had to navigate through a maze of explosives and traps to reach the Joker. And I had to do it without making any mistakes. But as I was making my way through the maze, I had to realize that I was so focused on being perfect, on not making any mistakes, that I was actually making things worse. I was overthinking, overanalyzing, and overcomplicating things. So I took a step back, I took a deep breath, and I reminded myself that it's okay to not be perfect. I reminded myself that it's okay to make mistakes, and that it's okay to learn from them. And with that, I was able to clear my mind, to focus on the task at hand, and to save the day. It was a powerful lesson, one that I'll never forget. In conclusion, the struggle against perfectionism and the fear of making mistakes is a lifelong journey. It's a journey that requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to take risks and try new things. But I promise you, it's a journey worth taking. When we let go of our need to be perfect, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities, to a world of joy, excitement, and fulfillment. So, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to take risks. And don't be afraid to be human. You are capable of greatness, not because you're perfect, but because you're imperfect. You are capable of greatness, not because you're fearless, but because you're brave enough to face your fears. And you are capable of greatness, not because you're alone, but because you're part of a community that's willing to support and uplift you. And if you feel this talk helpful, don't forget like and subscribe. And if you want to be a more grateful person, you can donate on the Patreon account. Link on description. See you soon, friend.